All right, so once you have your pumpkins all done, you can add the stem next if you want to, or you can put these lines in next, okay? When you add your stem, you just sculpt your clay to the stem you want, and then you can use any of the sculpting tools to push lines down in it. If you don't want the lines to go all the way down the stem, they don't have to. You can make your stem look however you want. The other thing you need to do is sculpt a leaf or a couple leaves to add to the top of your pumpkin, and if you want to do some little twisty pieces or however you want the top decorated. Okay. When you do the lines that kind of make the division lines in your pumpkin, you want to add those because it's going to make it look more realistic and not so fakey when it's finished. So what I do is I start out at the top. Can you come closer so you can see that? And I start with 4. I kind of divide this up into 4 equal sections first. So it's kind of like you're splitting it in half, like your center is a target kind of. And then I make those lines come out all the way to the edge of whatever, because some of your pumpkins are really big, some of them are skinny, but I make these lines come all the way out to the edge like this, okay? And then what I do is I make 1 section in the middle of each of those so that you kind of have your pumpkin divided into 8 pieces basically. And then once you get that, I kind of just take the tool, the sculpting tool, and draw those first 4 major lines all the way down, because it's easier for you to see like half your pumpkin than to try to divide 8 places all the way around. So I just literally take one of the sculpting tools. It doesn't matter which sculpting tool you use. You can use the one that you like. So I just keep going until I get them all the way drawn. Okay. And then once I have those, I leave those middle ones for right now. I'll take the other end of the sculpting tool, and you're literally, because your pumpkin is so big, those lines are kind of thin. I take the wooden end of the sculpting tool and really push that down in. Now, right here where your seam is, you have to be careful. Don't push too hard there or you'll push right through. So I kind of lighten up, and then once you get below it, you can push harder again. And then to make this look more realistic, I just come back in here and push those in, and then take your finger and go along one side of the line and smooth it. You see how it's really starting to smooth and it looks more realistic? And then you can take another finger and smooth the other side of your line. And you can even take your sculpting tool or your finger, whatever works best for you, and you can kind of blend that down into your pumpkin a little bit. But I just take my fingers and smooth that, because you see how it starts to give those more indented look to your pumpkin. So then when you have the 4 major ones finished, you can go back and do that same thing to the middle. And you can look, some of them, you know, in some pumpkins, the sections are smaller. So if you want to make it come, you know, to a specific place on your pumpkin, that's okay. So you can have some that are a little bit more narrower and some that are a little wider, because that's how pumpkins are. They're not perfect. And then I do the same thing. I take the other end of the tool, the wooden end, because it's a lot stiffer, so you can push in further. Just don't push through. And then I always go back and smooth that edge so it kind of looks more sculpted and smoother like a pumpkin, because you don't have all these sharp mangled edges on a real pumpkin. And so you can see I kind of pull off a lot of those little pieces again. That's okay. Just make sure you go back once you have your lines pushed in and smooth. You can use the sculpting tools, you can use your fingers, whatever you want to use to get those all smoothed out. And then if you want to, you can even go back and take your sculpting tools and add some other lines into it, like at the top where the pumpkin has kind of more wrinkles. You can go back and you can add any of those to your pumpkin. Now remember, we're gonna glaze them, so you have to make these a little deeper than what you actually want them to be, because the glaze is gonna fill them in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Okay, if you do, when you're working on it, just call me over and I'll help you do it.